The average person now scrolls the length of the Eiffel Tower every single day. And that's exactly why brain rot, the neuroscience behind Oxford's Word of the Year, matters more than you think. Here's the strange part. Brain rot feels like it was minted for this exact moment. Thumbs, feeds, the endless scroll. Oxford made it the Word of the Year for 2024 after more than 37,000 people cast a vote. Its usage climbed roughly 230% in a single year. So you'd assume a comedian coined it, or an app, or a tired parent watching a kid dissolve into a screen. You'd be wrong. The phrase is 170 years old. It was written by a man sitting beside a pond who had never seen a screen in his life, and he was worried about the exact thing you feel every night around 11 o'clock. To understand why your attention feels frayed, we have to start with him. And then with what's actually happening a few centimeters behind your eyes. Oxford's own lexicographers noticed the surge and flagged it early. The phrase went from niche slang to a word your grandparents recognize in barely 12 months. You know the feeling before you have a name for it. You open your phone to check one thing. 40 minutes vanish. You couldn't tell anyone what you watched. You finish a clip and immediately start another, not because it was good, but because stopping felt harder than continuing. You reread the same paragraph of a book 3 times and it won't stick. You reach for your phone in the elevator, in the queue, in the half second of boredom, before a friend comes back to the table. None of it feels like a decision. That's the part worth noticing. It feels like weather. Something happening to you, not something you're choosing. And the word we've reached for, collectively in millions of posts, is decay, rot, a slow softening of the mind. The real question is whether that's what's happening in there, or whether we've just found a vivid word for something far more ordinary. Notice, too, how the reach happens faster than the thought. Your hand moves before you've decided anything. That gap between impulse and intention is the whole story of this video. So, the man beside the pond. In 1854, Henry David Thoreau published Walden, an account of 2 years living simply in the woods of Massachusetts. Near the end, he takes aim at his neighbors. Not for laziness, but for how they think. He watches a society that prefers the simple idea to the complex one, the easy thought to the demanding one. And he writes a line that lands strangely close to home. England, he says, works hard to cure the potato rot, the blight destroying its crops. Yet no one lifts a finger to cure the brain rot, which spreads far more widely and far more fatally. He wasn't talking about television. There was no radio. He was talking about newspapers, gossip, and the human hunger for whatever is easy to swallow. 170 years before your For You page existed, someone had already named the ache. Thoreau chose that word, rot, on purpose. Rot is what happens to something alive when it's left unused and untended. He wasn't describing a poison. He was describing neglect. When Oxford's language experts chose the phrase, they defined it carefully, not as a disease, as the supposed deterioration of a person's mental state, especially from over-consuming content thought to be trivial or unchallenging. Read that again. Supposed. The lexicographers were precise, because the science here is not settled. Caspar Grathwohl, who runs Oxford Languages, pointed out something almost tender, that a phrase from a Victorian naturalist had been picked up by teenagers on TikTok to describe their own scrolling. The same anxiety, 2 centuries apart, wearing different clothes. Which tells you the feeling is real and old. But a feeling being old doesn't make its explanation true. People in the 1800s believed novels would ruin young minds. Every new medium arrives wrapped in the same fear. So before we accept that your brain is rotting, it's worth asking what your brain is actually doing when you can't stop scrolling. And notice the shape of the panic each time. It's never about the new thing itself. It's about what we fear we're losing by giving into it. Attention, depth, ourselves. Here's where the neuroscience gets interesting and far less scary than the word suggests. Your brain runs on a chemical called dopamine, and for decades people misread it. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical. The neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz showed something subtler. Dopamine spikes not when you get the reward, but when you anticipate one you're not sure is coming. It's the chemistry of maybe. And maybe is exactly what a feed is built from. You pull to refresh, maybe something great, maybe nothing. The uncertainty is the whole point. Decades earlier, the psychologist B.F. Skinner found that animals pressed a lever most obsessively not when it always gave food, but when it gave food unpredictably. He called it a variable ratio schedule. It's the same engine humming inside a slot machine. Your phone didn't invent this wiring, it just found the cheat code for it, and then sold it back to you, refined by thousands of engineers. Think about what that means for a moment. The most compelling part of opening an app is the instant before it loads. The anticipation, not the arrival. You're chasing a feeling that peaks before you even see the content. But here's what almost no explanation of this mentions. The scroll isn't only exploiting your reward system, it's quietly retraining your attention. Every time you switch, clip, message, you pay a hidden tax. The psychologist Sophie Leroy called it attention residue. When you jump from one task to another, part of your mind stays stuck on the last thing. You're never fully on the new task because you're still leaking backward. Do that 1,000 times a day, and the cost isn't that your brain is decaying. It's that you're practicing fragmentation relentlessly, like an athlete training the wrong muscle. Which raises a far harder question than is my brain rotting. The real question is this: if attention is a skill, and skills are built by repetition, then what exactly are you building? Because you are getting better at something every single day. You just might not like what it is. Leroy's studies found that people who switched tasks performed worse on the next one, even when they thought they'd moved on cleanly. The residue is invisible to you. That's what makes it so expensive. You've probably heard that human attention span has collapsed to 8 seconds. Shorter, supposedly, than a goldfish. It's one of the most repeated statistics of the decade. It's also essentially made up. Researchers who chased it back found no credible source, and the goldfish comparison appears to be pure invention. This matters because the truth is more precise than the myth. Your capacity to pay attention hasn't shrunk to a number on a chart. What's changed is the environment competing for it. You can still watch a 2-hour film that grips you. You can still lose yourself in a conversation until the restaurant empties. Attention doesn't evaporate. It goes wherever the rewards are richest and the effort is lowest. And a feed engineered by thousands of the smartest people alive will almost always feel easier than a book that asks you to build the pictures yourself. That's not decay. That's a rigged contest. The famous claim was traced to a report that cited a source that never actually said it. A game of academic telephone, repeated until it felt like fact, which is fittingly its own small case of brain rot. So the cost isn't visible as damage, it shows up as drift. You wanted to learn something hard, and you watched 40 short clips about it instead, and felt like you'd learned when you'd mostly just felt. You meant to rest and arrived at the end of the evening more tired than when you started. Wired and empty at the same time. This is the quiet trade the design makes on your behalf. Difficult pleasures all pay off slowly. A long book, a real conversation, a skill that's clumsy before it's good. The feed pays off now, and a brain choosing between a reward now and a bigger reward later will, again and again, lean toward now. Not because it's broken, because that bias kept your ancestors alive when the future was never guaranteed. The machine didn't create your impatience. It simply found it and rented it by the second. Economists have a name for this pull toward the immediate. They call it hyperbolic discounting. The reward right in front of you looms larger than a far better one just a little further away. Multiply that by every idle moment in a day, and the small choices quietly become the shape of a life. Which brings us to the reframe, and it's a generous one. The very thing that makes you vulnerable to the scroll is the thing that made you human and adaptable. Your brain is a novelty-seeking machine tuned by evolution to notice what changes. A new sound, a new face, a new movement. For almost all of our history, novelty meant information, and information meant survival. The rustle in the grass could be dinner, or it could be death. The mind that ignored the new thing didn't get to pass anything on. So your pull toward the next video isn't a defect that appeared in 2010. It's an ancient, useful instinct, dropped into an environment that can now manufacture infinite novelty on demand. You are not weak. You're a Stone Age attention system, running inside a room that never, ever stops flashing. That instinct is thousands of generations deep. It cannot be deleted. The feed didn't hack a bug in your brain. It found a feature and pointed a fire hose at it. And this is where the meme version gets it wrong. Brain rot, the joke, suggests permanent physical decay. That scrolling is dissolving your gray matter like acid on metal. The honest scientific picture is quieter and frankly more hopeful. The brain is plastic. It shapes itself around whatever you repeatedly ask it to do. That's the same reason the scroll can fragment your focus, and the same reason focus can be rebuilt. Nothing is being dissolved. Something is being rehearsed. The research here is genuinely still developing, and serious scientists are careful not to overstate long-term harms, especially for adults. But what they will say is simple. Attention behaves far more like a muscle than like an organ quietly rotting. And muscles respond to how you train them. In both directions, the story you tell yourself about your own mind is not a small thing. It decides whether you even try. Every study you'll see quoted comes with caveats the headlines drop. Correlation, small samples, short time frames. The careful truth is less clickable and far more useful than the panic. So treat the caution as a gift, not a loophole. It means the ending isn't written yet. Thoreau's real complaint, it turns out, wasn't about entertainment at all. It was about surrender. He didn't fear that people enjoyed simple things. He feared they'd stopped choosing, that they'd let the easy idea win by default every single time until the muscle for the hard idea quietly wasted away from disuse. That's the version of brain rot worth taking seriously. Not that your neurons are dying, that your capacity for depth can go unused so consistently that it starts to feel unreachable. The good news hidden in that sentence is enormous. Unreachable is not the same as gone. A skill that's rusty is still a skill. And the moment you notice the drift, the way you probably have while listening to this, you've already done the one thing the automatic scroll depends on you never doing. You've paid attention to your attention. That single act, catching yourself mid-reach, is not willpower. It's awareness. And awareness is the one thing an automatic habit cannot survive, being looked at directly. So here's what the neuroscience actually says, stripped of the fear. Your brain isn't rotting. It's obeying. It's doing precisely what it evolved to do. Chase novelty, seek the maybe, conserve effort. All of it, inside a system built to exploit those three instincts at once. The revelation isn't that you're damaged. It's that you're being outplayed by your own wiring, running on rules someone else wrote. And the single most useful thing you can try is almost boringly small. The next time you reach for your phone out of pure reflex, just notice the reach before you follow it. Don't fight it, don't shame it, just see it. That half second of awareness is where the choice lives. The same choice Thoreau said we were quietly losing. You can't stop your brain from wanting the easy thing. But you can decide, once in a while, to want the hard thing on purpose. Do it enough times and something quietly shifts. The reflex stops being invisible. And a habit you can see is a habit you can finally begin to answer. The average person really does scroll the height of the Eiffel Tower every day. Inch by inch, thumb by thumb. A tower of glass built and rebuilt each night before sleep. A man beside a pond saw the shape of this 170 years before the first feed ever refreshed. Not the technology, the temptation. The quiet daily choice between what's easy and what's worth it. The tower isn't the problem, the blind climb is. Tomorrow it will rise again under your thumb, floor after floor, in the dark before sleep. The only question is, who decides how high?